Hey besties!
Hey,
Welcome back for another episode of the Hello Bestie podcast. I'm Maggie.
I'm Tashima.
How you doing this Tuesday, teams?
Good.
Good? Life's good?
Life is lifing.
Good. What's your tea for the week? What's happening?
It's not really tea. It's more of a pet peeve.
I love me a good pet peeve.
Yes. And this is, it's always been a pet peeve,
Mm-hmm.
but we experienced this recently when we went to the store. It annoys me when you're out and about and people, like somebody's trying to get by you, instead of saying, excuse me.
Are you talking about the guy at the store?
Oh, it was a woman. It was a woman.
Oh, a guy did it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people do it.
Yeah.
But instead of saying, excuse me, they just stand there.
Mm-hmm.
And then just expect for you to realize that there's somebody behind you and then be like, oh, I'm sorry. No, if you want to get by, just say, excuse me. So I think in the era of like petty, I'm just going to start pretending like these people aren't there until they use their words and say, excuse me. You know, because I'm kind of tired of, like, if we're out or I'm out with my mom and you don't realize that there's somebody standing behind you, and then I say, hey, there's somebody behind you, and you're like, oh, sorry. And then they, oh, thank you. You just stood there for what felt like a really, really long time.
Like a freak when you could have just said something.
Just say,
it's not rude to say excuse me. Literally one of the most polite things you can say to someone is excuse
just say
me.
Excuse me. It's not like you're supposed to go, excuse me. No, just excuse me. And I gladly move out of the way. So in the era of petty, I am going to just start pretending like I don't realize people are standing right behind me.
I'm all for the petty.
So
do it.
This is like, yeah. Yeah.
I'm like the devil on the side of the shoulder.
One of us. Yeah. So that is more of like a pet peeve. How about you?
You know, I love my movie nights that I have with my kids with our charcuterie board and all of that. Well, we decided to go out to the movies recently. Girl.
Fun time?
Fun time. We went to go see Dog Man. Good. I mean, I did snooze a little bit. Not because the movie was bad. Just, it's been a week. I've been working hard. Just
movies are like lullabies.
They are like a time to relax. And, you know, the parts I saw were great. My kids loved it. That's what's most important.
I'm sure it was fun.
I did have someone else there with me, so it's not like I'm just
deadbeat.
I feel the need to clarify that. Like there was another adult there.
Yeah.
But it's so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
To go out to the movies.
It is.
I was aghast.
Like regular living things. Like it doesn't even feel like you're doing anything extravagant. Like we used to have a $1 movie theater. Like going to the movies really shouldn't break the bank. But you know.
Bag of popcorn. It's like $9.75. Regular old bag of popcorn. What are we doing? Has inflation just hit everything? Yes, it has.
Or tariffs.
All that.
I don't know if that's a bad word or not, but
guess we'll find out later.
Yeah, we sure will.
We will. It is bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Just I'll continue watching movies at home.
You gotta get a part-time job just to go and do things.
Unless I really want to see the movie.
Yeah.
Because my kids enjoyed it, and really, that's what's most important. But when you spend that much on an outing, you need to make sure it's going to be a good movie, that it's enjoyable, that it's so.
It's like bowling.
We
went bowling, and not even recently, and I couldn't believe it. And we haven't been back since.
I just don't like it. That's, you know, when you go somewhere and they're charging $6 for a bottle of water.
Mm-hmm. That's
I can afford it. It ain't going to break me to do it, but just out of principle.
Right. It's water.
What are you doing right now?
Yeah. Where did it come from?
I'm not buying that. And that's how come they get away with it, because people buy it. So if somebody's going to buy it for that price, hell yeah, I'm going to sell it for that price.
Yeah, because you're going to eat a bucket of salty-ass, buttery-ass popcorn.
And I'm going to upsell.
You're going to be thirsty.
Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do.
Okay, I'm going to get into my first Reddit thread. Am I the asshole for punishing my son after he said something racist? About a week ago, my family ordered Chinese food for delivery. When the delivery driver came to the door, my 16-year-old daughter was taking the cat upstairs to put in her room because he always tries to eat the food. My 13-year-old son loudly says, "Make sure to hide the cat from the Chinese guy," as I am at the door getting the food from the Chinese delivery driver. He very obviously heard what my son said and was upset by it. I quickly apologized and took the food. I told my son that racist jokes are completely unacceptable and very wrong, and he refused to admit that he was in the wrong. So, later that night, I forced my son to write a sincere apology to the delivery driver, his name was on the receipt, as well as a one-page paper on Chinese culture and a one-page paper on why racism is perpetuated by racist jokes and stereotypes.
Okay, Mom.
Then the next day, I took him to the restaurant and had him read his apology aloud to the delivery driver, as well as give him the papers he wrote. The driver was very appreciative of the apology and thanked me for making my son do it. He then told my son about multiple instances where he had faced racist comments and attacks from people while he was a delivery driver. That night, my husband and I got into an argument about me making our son do this. He told me that it was embarrassing for our son to have to do the apology and that the punishment didn't fit the crime. I told him that it was much more embarrassing for the driver to have to face that kind of racism and racist stereotypes, and that our son would get over the embarrassment. I do not condone any kind of hateful thinking in my house, and the fact that my son said that embarrassed me as well. My husband told me that it was just a joke and it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like I might have overreacted some, but I think it's important to help my son understand how what he said was wrong and hurtful. Am I the asshole?
No. But you have bad taste in men?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I feel like she handled that appropriately.
I think she really did a good job
Like,
with that.
you not only told him that what he did was wrong, you then had him do research, you had him apologize to the person that he offended, and have a conversation with this person. That teaches empathy and understanding and compassion.
And it's nice that the delivery driver accepted the apology and said, here's some other things that have happened to me before.
Like, you're not the one and only person who has done this. I have gone through this, and like, that you've taught him so much in this one thing. I guarantee you, what he said because your husband probably has said things maybe when you're not around.
1000%.
But he didn't just wake up one day and decide that he was going to make inappropriate jokes. He's heard it from someone, and he's hearing it from the person who you lay next to.
It's bad enough that he said it. But you said it so this guy could hear. You said it loudly, shouted it because you thought it was funny. I
mean, the fact that your cat eats your food is really gross, but neither here nor there.
Besties know how we feel about cats. So.
But I think she handled that appropriately, and I think that the husband is the asshole and the problem.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with what you said 1000%. I think he learned a good lesson.
Yeah.
She didn't make him apologize publicly or embarrass him in doing it.
Yeah, she didn't make him stand on the street with a sign that says, "I say racist things." Like, she didn't do that.
Right.
Or post something on social media. She couldn't have handled it any better.
No, she couldn't. You go to this person, to their face, and you apologize to them.
And you acknowledge that this person is a human being.
Right.
And you educated him. Girl, no, you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
And honestly, she needs to nip that in the bud, because that was a delivery driver and he was at work, so he couldn't really get out of pocket. Your son could get his ass whooped real quick going around saying things like that. So, yeah, teach him that's inappropriate to say. If you think that's one thing, you don't just walk around saying things like that.
No.
Or worse.
And especially thinking that you are above consequence. And that is the problem. You have a lot of these people who walk around thinking that they can say and they can do whatever they want. Well, it's my First Amendment. No, it doesn't.
Right.
It means that you have the right to speak out against corrupt government, etc., etc. That doesn't mean that you can't get your ass whooped for talking out of pocket.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, but you take whatever consequences come with it.
There are still consequences for you saying things that you and I both know shouldn't be coming out of your mouth, and your First Amendment right doesn't give you the right to be excused from consequences.
Right. Yeah. I'm all for free speech. Say whatever you want, but just know
there are consequences.
Right. There are repercussions to things.
So go ahead and find out.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah. That's that. Okay. That's my turn. Yeah, girl. I'm starting to get riled up. Let me just go ahead and move on. people get us turned up. Okay, so this is a thread.
Okay.
It's just
a thread.
Yeah,
okay.
it's wild.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
No.
Boo. All right.
Tomato. Okay. This is today I effed up by throwing steak out of a window.
What?
Yeah. This is by a male. It doesn't have an age. Last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the three of us. We chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed to be really hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife seemed pleased.
Extra.
Yeah. Soon she brought out the main course, a nice, big, juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked the steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill short of rare. I probably could have resuscitated the cow had I tried. Instead, I sat there fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating this steak. Claim veganism? No, I already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third-story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head. I knew I had to be decisive, realizing that she could return at any moment. I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big time fuck up. The window wasn't open. It was the cleanest freaking window you've ever seen in your life. That is until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake. My wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet. This look then slowly morphed into more of a "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" expression of demonic anger. My wife's boss heard the thud of the steak on the window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the steak sitting on the windowsill, the blood trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but probably 3 or 4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, I'm so sorry. I'm such a klutz. I don't know. I was just cutting it and it slipped. Just ask my wife. I really am a klutz, right, honey? No help coming from that direction. I will clean this up. I can't believe this. I am so sorry, etc., etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from a loony bin as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin,
oh my God,
dusted off the steak, and continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody raw steak. I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since the incident are, "I'm fine." Edit. Thanks, kind Redditors. Update. Just got the first post, I'm fine communication from my wife via text, who is at work. Good news. Boss's name, and I just had a good laugh over how much of a effing idiot you are. I hope you know you will never live this down. Love you, moron. That I couldn't even.
That's hilarious that he couldn't tell that the window was closed.
But it might be like, you know, if the window is clean, she's on the 3rd story, the light is hitting it just a certain way. But the idea that you could think you would be sitting at the table and you just like, what? It's just like, oh.
He's like, yes, I nailed it. Oh, no. I couldn't have eaten the steak.
No.
I'm sorry. If
I don't
they
live
think
here.
I'm rude or I'm whatever. And honestly, if you're preparing steak, you should ask people how they like their steak.
Yeah.
That's standard. But you know how I like my stuff. I've been places with people and it's disrespecting the meat and that's the improper way to eat steak. I don't give a fuck what you think the right way to eat steak is. It's not how I like my steak.
Yeah.
I don't want it bleeding, blood on my plate.
I don't even like steak, so.
Ugh. Carnivore? Like, jeez.
I read that and I was rolling.
No, that's hilarious because he was being so extra. Like, oh, my silly wife. Of course, I would never
embarrass you.
And then he ate it afterwards. So this slid down a window on a windowsill.
In somebody else's house.
That's beyond gross.
Yeah.
Like, pick it up and put it in the trash. I get,
though, it would have been difficult to just sit there at the table. Like, I get it. Like, I get why he thought the way that he did.
I don't.
I'm not saying I would.
Yeah, no.
But
that's
I can see, you know, be like, okay, let me just go ahead. I mean, he's probably like, I've done worse, maybe. I don't know.
Want to get into some bad choices?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a hidden body piercing or tattoo?
No.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, no.
I guess I don't know what would be considered hidden, like in a private area.
That's what I would consider hidden.
Oh, okay.
I mean, depending on what I'm wearing, all my tattoos are hidden.
Exactly.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
But I don't have one like on my butt cheek or groin area. That's what I think of anyway. Would you sell someone with a foot fetish pictures of your feet for $20?
$20? We've already been there.
Yeah, we have already been there.
You gotta pay up.
Gotta be locked into your fetish.
These people really got
they do.
an interest. Have you ever created a fake social media account to spy on someone?
No.
I don't got the time.
No.
No. I was thinking like back in the day.
Oh.
No.
No, that's wild. Have you ever had sex with someone 10 years older than you?
Yeah. I think.
I haven't. I don't think that's that much older though. Depends on how old you were at the time. I mean.
Have you ever driven more than 3 hours to go on a date with someone?
No.
Not more than, but about 3 hours I have. Not to go on a... Yeah.
She was like, I travel for the D. Have you ever lied to leave in the middle of a first date?
God, it's been so long. Probably not to get out, like while you're on the date.
Yeah, like an escape thing.
No, I don't think so. I've never had one that bad. I don't believe that I had to get out of it at the time. Like I probably made excuses to not go again for sure.
Yeah, me either.
But I don't think
I've never
in the
had to leave
moment
in the middle of a first date.
Wrote it out.
It's like your girl on Later Daters. What was her name?
The guy who was like...
He's a person that you would leave early. She was not wrong for leaving early on that date.
Would you gain 100 pounds for $50,000?
No.
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 The health risk alone isn't worth it. Trying to lose weight. Not gain weight. Not necessarily lose weight, you know, just trying to get healthy, whatever.
Have you ever been blindfolded during sex?
God, this game.
I know, we don't need to answer that. These are...
I feel like I've answered worse. Oh, I didn't think you were going to, like, lean in for the answer. I'm sorry, that got really weird. You were like, oh, okay, do tell.
As an adult, have you ever physically pissed your pants?
No.
Like after pregnancy, trying to make it to the bathroom.
Like a full on, like,
no,
I'm not
a
talking
full
a
on.
little dribble.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
No, I don't consider that like peeing your pants.
Okay, then no.
Like,
no, I've never
your
wet spot.
Bottom pants are like not a little drop on your underwear.
Oh,
like actually your pants are wet.
No,
running down your leg.
No.
Into your sock.
Okay, I got no.
Soggy shoes.
You don't need to keep saying it. No.
Yeah, that's just normal.
No.
Newsflash. That's a normal thing.
I mean, that's not normal for me. It happened after I'm
not saying an everyday thing.
Okay.
I'm saying it is common after you have children.
Oh, got
to have a little bit of pee come
That
out.
is normal. Got it. Okay. It seems like we're
just
tickling all over the place every day. Need to be clear.
Create your own question. Do I need to be clear? I don't think so. I thought that was very clear. I'm getting all of these blank ones. Would you spend the night in a full porta potty for $10,000?
No.
No, not 10,000. I mean, if you up the ante, yeah, I would suck it up. Because it doesn't say that I'm like, you know.
What if you're in there, someone just comes like pushes it over to the side?
I would die. I would probably just like R.I.P. me. Go ahead, just arrange my wake.
Have you ever taken drugs without knowing what they were?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Like a spiking situation? Mm-hmm. Someone did it to you? Really?
Yeah. Maggie's like,
really?
Yeah, girl. This was in high school. I was at a party. This is why you shouldn't do drugs. And there was a lot of different things going around. Next thing you know, I just had like, it was the craziest thing. It was like I could see myself, like, it was almost like I was hovering over myself, watching myself at this party. And I kept having like weird sensations and stuff like that. And then, you know, fast forward like 20 years or whatever, I don't know. And I was talking to some friends and I had mentioned, like we were kind of sharing a story like this, and I went into a lot more detail. And one of them was like, oh my God, I think you were tripping on acid. And I was like, no, like that could never be me. Mm-hmm. And the whole group, who apparently had done this voluntarily, because apparently that's a thing still, they're like, no, like 100% whatever it is that you were smoking was laced with acid.
Damn.
And sadly, I think it happened twice.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, not 2 times one night, 2 separate occasions, similar group of people. So, yeah, fool me once, fool me multiple times. Because apparently a bitch doesn't learn lessons well. Because then I was like, well, what about this situation? And they were like, yeah.
Like, got you again, sis.
Yeah, so that did happen. And that was what really set in motion to me that you can't trust everybody. And even if that's the case, like, even if that's your jam, you shouldn't just assume that that's mine.
Right. 100%.
And give me disclaimer of like, I mean, you, because it's, and I would have been like, oh, hell no. You got that.
Right.
Let me just have a little sip. Yeah, but don't just do that to people and just
unknowingly, yeah, because you don't know how people are going to react.
Correct.
Right.
And like I felt very violated. I felt, you know, just
duped, all of that.
Yeah,
right.
It was very scary, and I'm glad that, like, I would say like mentally, I feel personally, I think that mentally I am very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So when there are situations where, like, even if I've had, you know, back in the day, too much to drink or something like that, I feel like I am still very much in control to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my body may be shit, but in here, I was 100% like, what is happening?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't right. So my body was doing whatever it wanted.
Right.
I just didn't understand why it was happening and why all of the, like, it was nuts.
That's
so it was
crazy.
almost like my consciousness and whatever's happening were not aligned.
Wow.
So, yeah, girl.
Damn.
You got to be careful.
You do indeed.
But that was, you know, a long time ago. I've since learned said lesson. But yeah, that's why. And that just goes with, I can see, having that experience, I see why these bad things are happening to people when people were dying because of fentanyl overdoses, or they thought that they were taking Xanax and they were getting fentanyl, and people were putting fentanyl in people's weed and all this stuff. It is very easy for that to happen, especially when you're in a group of people where you think you're friends.
Right.
You don't always know everybody's intent.
Right. Exactly.
And again, just because it's something that you do, doesn't mean that that's something that I do. And I don't think it's okay for you to just take that that decision making away from somebody.
Yeah. And also know the difference between party friends and actual friends. Because there are some people that are just really fun to go and hang out and vibe with.
Right.
These are not the people that you confide in.
But when you're like,
you
know, however old.
Right.
In high school, you should be doing it anyway. But, you know, when you're that young, you just are like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know, you see these people every day. It just never even crossed my mind that was a thing. And I didn't even know that was a thing until well into adulthood.
No, that's understandable.
I just thought that I was tripping.
Right.
Like,
well, you were.
Yeah.
Apparently you were.
You know, there were no rainbows. There were no technicolored, you know, nothing. Just crazy.
Just losing your shit internally.
Yeah. But I seriously was like, what is happening to me? And I'm just watching myself, like I'm hovering over myself, watching myself like a movie.
Damn.
Nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay. Well, story time is over. Time for bed.
We've learned a lot about Tima this evening.
Yeah. All right, Bes-Teas. Well, we will see you next Tuesday. As always, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll see you next week.
Bes-Teas
Bye.
out.